Well, everybody, welcome to the Old State Market House. This building played a critical role in Galena's early history. Back in the early days of Galena in 1826, Galena was founded because lead had been discovered in this area. People came from all over the globe to come here to dig up lead because it was worth nearly as much as gold and silver. Galena grew very quickly, and the best way to get to Galena back then was on a steamboat that came up the Mississippi River and then up the Galena River, which was right behind this building about 200 feet. Now, the old river that we used to have used to be over 350 feet wide and over 40 feet deep. Steamships could come right up the Mississippi and up the Galena, and they would dock behind this building. Now, the people that they bought would go downtown and drink and eat, but the freight that they carried would be bought into this building and then would be auctioned off to downtown retailers. It's very much how we stocked our retail shelves in Galena's early days. Now, in addition to that, notice the huge yard. It was filled with wagons of craftspeople and farmers selling their wares and products. You guys, this was the first Costco of Galena. It was really successful, and it was a major location and marketplace in Galena. But it had a basement that wasn't being used, so they added a couple of jail cells. These jail cells were horrible. They were underground, dank, dark, wet, and cold. The cells themselves had 3 solid stone walls and then one wall with a tiny window about 9 feet off the deck. If you could reach up and put your hand through that window, you'd be touching the ground. Now, the 4th wall of the cell was a giant metal door about 3/8 inch thick that was on hinges that literally shut, boom, and then locked down in place. There was no bars. This was a solid iron door. There was a little slidey door that you could open in this iron door and slip food through for the prisoner and then close it up again. The only thing in the cell was a cot, a blanket, and a bucket. You can use your imagination. One night, a woman by the name of Mary Ann Miller comes to Galena. Now, Mary Ann Miller is drunk and she's combative and in your face. Shut up! I can do anything I want. Get out of my way! Not only that, Mary Ann Miller has no money to buy alcohol. So she goes into the bars. If you're a gentleman willing to buy her drinks for the night, she'll reward you at the end of the night with special favors I don't even want to know. There she is. Get out, you're a handsome looking fella. How about buying a lady a drink? Well, pretty soon the cops get wise. They come and they arrest her and they take her up to our old county jail building, but there's no room in the building. So they bring her down here and they put her in a basement cell in this building, lock her up, and they go home for the night. But that night, it rains torrentially. The rain comes pouring down. Before long, the river right out back jumps its banks. A wall of water floods into downtown Galena. Mary Ann Miller is in her cell. Imagine as you're in there and you see lightning and the storm raging through your little window, and all of a sudden, water begins pouring into your jail cell. And to your horror, it's not rainwater, it's river water. After a half an hour, the water in her cell was up to her waist. It had nowhere to go. There was no drain. After an hour, it was up to her neck. After an hour and 15 minutes, she's now swimming to have to stay above water. And after about an hour and 45 minutes, she is now clinging to the little bar in the window of her cell as the water rises and rises and rises. As she looks on in terror, it goes up over her window. And now she has just one choice, but to push off and drown. Mary Ann Miller drowned like a caged rat. This actually made the people of Galena really angry. Now, don't get me wrong, no one liked Mary Ann Miller, but nobody thought she deserved to die like a caged rat. So they all complained, get this, they closed the jail. Nobody was ever put in prison here again. And Mary Ann Miller was given a decent burial up at a place called Greenwood Cemetery. It's our main cemetery here in town. But nobody wrote down the location of the grave in the guidebook, and nobody bought her a tombstone. So to this day, we know she's in Greenwood, but we don't know where. And it's said her angry spirit still roams the cemetery looking for her lost remains. Now, that may or may not be true, but here's what I can tell you. Mary Ann Miller still haunts this building, and she is not happy about the way she died. Now, about 20 years ago, the state of Illinois here gave us a pile of big city money to fix this thing up, and we did. Now it's all brand new, and we turned around and rented it. You know what it became? This was our Galena Welcome Center. This is where you came and got tourist information. The first week they're open, a young woman comes here and goes in, looks at all the exhibits and goes, oh, this is lovely. By the way, do you have a bathroom I could use? Oh, of course, they say. Go right up here by the front door. There's a series of stairs down to the basement level. Look across the basement and you'll see the ladies' bathroom. That's right, they put the woman's bathroom right by where Mary Ann Miller died in her cell. This poor girl has never heard any of this. So she goes downstairs and there it is, the ladies' room. Now she goes and opens the door to the ladies' room. There's a little sink and a mirror and a little countertop to the right. In the back, one stall. She opens the stall door, steps in, closes the door behind her. Something wrenches the stall door out of her hand, and then slams the door shut. Boom! The entire stall shudders violently and the overhead light goes out. It is now pitch black inside this room. There is no windows. You literally can't see a thing. And panicking, this girl starts feeling around the stall, trying to find the door. There it is. And finally getting to the latch, turning it left and right, pushing, pulling. The door won't open. She's trapped in the stall. Now panicked as the temperature is plummeting, 5, 10, 15 degrees colder. She starts pounding on the stall door and tries to scream for help, but her voice only comes out a hoarse whisper. After about 5 minutes of this, she breaks down weeping, please, somebody help me. And as she does, she puts her head on the stall door and it opens. The overhead light flickers for just a second. She runs out of the bathroom, up the stairs, and into the Galena afternoon. Now, for reasons we really don't understand, later that night, this very same woman decides to go on a ghost tour and comes on the one hosted by yours truly. I'm actually across the river talking about Mary Ann Miller and this building. I got to stop because someone on the tour is sobbing. Just, I'm like, oh no. Did I say something inappropriate? I can be a little salty. And she goes, no, it wasn't you. And she proceeded to tell the entire group what happened to her earlier that day in the basement of this building. Folks, Mary Ann Miller is still here. You can come back tonight. In about another 20 minutes to a half hour, the sun will have set. It'll be dark. Come here and go around to the back side of this building and you will find a modern stairway that goes down to the basement level on the outside of the building. Now it's dark and it's creepy and you'll get all the way down there and you'll find a modern metal door. Just go ahead and give it a knock. And sit and listen, because more often than not, Mary Ann Miller will very quietly knock back. Sometimes she runs her fingernails down the inside of the door and it gives that nails on chalkboard type effect that'll make the hair on the back of your neck just stand right up. But the worst thing she does, as you're on your way down, you won't see it in the dark. There's an air vent in the foundation of the building that provides air to the basement level. As you're going down the steps, it will be right by your ear. Mary Ann Miller is inside the building on the other side of that vent. And if she says something to you, it's going to be like she grabbed your head and whispered it right into your ear. So you're about halfway down, you're pretty jumpy, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody goes, I'm waiting for you. Whoa! Do not miss the chance to rile up Mary Ann Miller tonight. She is one of our most famous spirits, but if you're coming back here tonight, I have one condition. I want you at least in pairs. This is an aggressive entity that has really scrambled some heads at the bottom of that stairway. So if you're coming back here, I want you at least with someone else. So if she launches on you, you've got some backup. But do not miss the chance to come and rile up Mary Ann Miller tonight. Now, I'm about to take you to the oldest house in Galena. Built in 1826, it was originally a trading post here in town. Today it is known as the Dowling House, and it is a tour home. We do historic tours there during the day, but the house is phenomenally haunted, and I am going to take you inside of it. Very good, everybody. Follow me.